Hello everyone, I am Lata from University, Japan. First of all, I would like to thank the organizing team for giving me this opportunity to introduce my research work. Today I am going to present the memory of disaster and community-based disaster mitigation research activities towards a shared responsibility, a study in historic city, Patan, Nepal. Our team from University is continuously doing research activities in UNESCO World Heritage Site of Nepal, Patan. Recently, we have published a book entitled Memory of 2015 Nepal Earthquake, Experience of Local Residents Utilizing Traditional Resources in UNESCO World Heritage Site. Our book aims to share the victims' experience of the disaster and their disaster response. Also, it aims to collect the lesson learning issues and share it, and to make the lessons to shared responsibility. This paper described the procedure of making the book and its lesson learning parts and discussion on shared responsibility. Here I would like to introduce the study area and the stakeholders of the area who are responsible for the management of the area. This figure shows the three historic cities of Kathmandu Valley and its old residential area. This is the figure of old residential area of Patan, which is buffer zone of historic site itself. Our study area lies inside the UNESCO World Heritage Site Monumental Zone. This historic city Patan is one of the newer towns. Newer houses are normally 4 to 5 storied. Based on the concept of purity, the living space of the house is divided on each floor, such as the ground floor is used for toilet storage room, the first floor is used for a bedroom, guest room, the second floor is used for a family room, and the third floor is used for a kitchen and a prayer room. The houses stand surrounding courtyards. There are several types of courtyards in the newer town. We can classify courtyards in 5 types based on the functions of the surrounding buildings and existence of the religious monuments inside the courtyard. Courtyards are normally called nani or tsuka. Some courtyards which function as Buddhist monastery called baha or bahi. These mentioned several types of courtyards are linked by alleys. This is an aerial view of the Patan. You can find the whole area is formed by courtyards. We can call this settlement as a courtyard style settlement. In this area, we did 2 kinds of interviews, individual and group. We conducted 55 individual interviews selected randomly from the households of the area and group interview with 3 local community, normally called toll committee. The survey was conducted in November and December of 2015. The collected interview data is classified and analyzed with the help of local contributors. We formed local working team. The team has 4 local contributors. 2 of them are architect students who support the illustration part and layout part too. These are outcomes of group interviews. We rearranged the area map with the information of the space used before and after the disaster. The sharing of disaster memory is considered with following 4 aspects: whom to share, what to share, how to share, and who to share. We decided the contents of the sharing memory should be connected with real happenings and the actual condition of the area, experiences that link to vulnerability and risk assessment of the community, re-evaluation of traditional resources, and challenges of the stakeholders. Considering these aspects, the methodology of the sharing is decided to make simple rather than making more academic. That means making visual oriented and accessible to all kinds of audiences. So the experiences are expressed in illustration and texts are written in 2 languages. The illustration is created originally showing the traditional courtyards and dwellings as it is. We revisited the site, did several discussions with the local working team for selection of the scenes to the illustration. The fourth aspect is the disaster memory should be shared to the stakeholders of the area to create shared responsibility. Here, let's see the stakeholders of the area. Courtyards are owned by government, used by various people. It is used to access to each surrounding houses and everyday living space. Courtyards are also used as the occasional living space and is managed by residents and local community, which is territorial based organization. In the old residential area of Patan, there are 166 Buddhist monasteries. Most of them have courtyards. There are numerous monuments and artifacts inside the area. And these religious monasteries, monuments, artifacts have their own traditional management organizations called Sangha or Guthi. These organizations are not limited with territorial base. Not only religious artifacts, but there are many communal spaces like Phalsa, Pati, and Hiti in our old residential area. And these communal spaces are also managed by related Guthis and local communities. So when it comes about the study area, the management actors can be divided in three types: resident related, Buddhist monastery related, and government related. This is flowchart of management actors in this area. It is outcome of my past research work. I won't go detail here, but just we need to remember that there are various stakeholders in this area. This is cover of the book and the contents. The book is composed with mainly the victim's experience as it is, which contains more than 80% of the book. The remaining part is column showing the outcomes of our team's research activities in the area. The experiences are divided into the phases of post-disaster recovery and reconstruction process, such as at the moment of the earthquake, immediately after the earthquake, during living at evacuation site, and the temporary living period. Among each phase, contents are also subdivided. In column part, the disaster mitigation map, disaster mitigation measures, and useful goods during evacuation life are included, which were our team's research work. So let's look at some of the lesson learning contents of the book. Traditional newer houses are 4 to 5 storied buildings composed of timber and brick masonry. Many victims experienced fear and panic of being in upper floors of the building, and also they felt helplessness for family members who remain in upstairs. Many of residents also experienced trapping inside the building because of the distortion of door frames. They also experienced fear to evacuate through narrow alleys. It can be said that there is need for vulnerability and risk assessments in the area for disaster risk reduction. The toll committee of each courtyard arranged staying place for each household and managed all the things as evacuation centers such as food, water, toilets for more than 2 weeks. Some people who are unable to arrange new living place spend more than 1 month in open space. Hongsal, a community building in the courtyard, is utilized for toilets and temporary shelter. Phalsa is utilized as administration place to run as evacuation center. Cooking space is the space which is usual cooking place in festivals. Heaty water is used for cleaning. Since there was anxiety about theft at night, voluntary patrol activities were organized and operated by toll committee. During the evacuation time, toll committee was the main organization which led the disaster response activities. It is also notable point that after staying few days in courtyards, when victims started their daily life in their own house, they first shifted their kitchen to the ground floor, which is normally taken as impure space for kitchen use or living space use. During temporary living phase, small courtyards were used as an extension of the kitchen or living space. They lived using only lower floors and courtyards for more than half a year because of the fear of aftermath. It can be said that the ground floor and small courtyards of Newa town are actually a buffer space for the disaster recovery phase. Next lesson learning part is the challenge of disaster response. The community respond as much as they can, but lack of disaster mitigation preparation, stockpiling plans, there are many challenges. The above lesson learning should be shared to stakeholders and should be taken as a shared responsibility. As explained in previous slides, in the study area, there are following three kinds of stakeholders related with the management of the area. To make a shared responsibility, we decided to organize a book launch event inviting those all stakeholders. The book launch event was held in collaboration with the local toll committee. The ward chief of the area was invited as chief guest. The members of ward disaster risk management committee were also participated and many of them supported the program voluntarily. Professors of Tribhuvan University Institute of Engineering, Professor of Khopo Engineering are also present as guests. There were almost 200 people, including the residents and neighbors. The book is distributed to all participants at the event. During the event, the guests and leader of the toll committee delivered a speech about their own memory of the earthquake and their responsibility for reducing the disaster risk. This kind of book launch program organized by local committee and university with presence of local government, local academic institutions and local experts was the very first attempt. The event successfully shared the memory of the earthquake itself. After the event, the published books are donated to the local toll committee to distribute to all the households and related organizations of the study area. The book is also distributed to Disaster Risk Reduction Committee of the Lalitpur Metropolitan City. So the book is distributed to local schools of the area. We believe it was a small attempt towards shared responsibility. We believe our research activities, including the publish of the memory book, help to build not only disaster awareness but also promote correct understanding with professionals' view of disaster and promotes appropriate action from the related various stakeholders. There still need more study to figure out the shared responsibility in different levels of stakeholders. We are continuing research on stockpiling planning of the area and research on stakeholders' responsible activities, including the newly formed Ward-Level Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Act. We hope our study will contribute to the disaster mitigation and community resilience. Thank you.